Climate crisis, offshore wind power so cheap it could return money to consumers. Renewable energy is on course to become the cheapest kind of power to produce in the UK, meaning household electricity bills could fall if savings are passed on to consumers. I live in St. Louis. I wish we had wind. If you could power a city with humidity, we would be set. I'm 38. When I was in 3rd grade, I was reading a Scholastic News article about wind and solar power. It read that renewable energy would be in every home in just 10 years and that we would all be receiving checks in the mail. It stuck with me and I was so excited about the prospect. It's funny to think kids today are still reading that. NGL, as a guy who's worked with renewable energy companies and attended an international summit for it, this is not new. The more we push for renewables, the cheaper it will be in the long run. Offshore wind power, while hosting a bunch of dangers to engineers, can be made safer, less obnoxious, since it's farther from people, and much cheaper. I may not work for the industry anymore, but please support legislation that pushes for renewable subsidies and tax breaks. Please push for pro-renewable laws as well. If savings are passed on to consumers. You misspelled shareholders. Savings passed on to the consumers. In Britain? Don't make me laugh. Fingers crossed this is true. Renewable is definitely the way forward. If savings are passed on. In the US they won't be, and the public utilities will encourage complaints about renewables. Well, I looked at the original article. The prices are a proxy of levelized cost of energy, plus profits. Be careful about the limitations. https://en. Wikipedia, org/wiki/levelized_cost_of_energy, of this indicator, which is an off-grid cost that doesn't account for indirect generation costs, which are especially high for variable renewables, such as grid upgrades, backup, with conventional plants, or storage, pumped hydro, batteries, power to gas, when there's no wind. This kind of metric is inappropriate for comparisons between dispatchable sources, gas, nuclear, and intermittent sources, as it underestimates the costs of the latter. That's why fossil fuel plants are still the fastest growing electricity sources in the world. Governments are not entirely stupid or corrupt. The cheap renewables talk is false. Edit, actually not anymore since 2019. It's good thing Hinkley C will fix that problem. Can't have energy prices actually fall. But always remember, they'll give you cancer. Edit, I was tired and forgot the /s for those that need it. The word if doing an Olympic level of hard work there. If a company's bid is higher than the wholesale electricity price on the UK market once the wind farm is up and running, then the company will receive a subsidy from the government to top up the price. However, if the stated price is less than the wholesale price, then the company will pay the government back the difference. This payback is then passed through to consumers' energy bills, reducing the amount that homes and businesses will pay for electricity. Yeah, that's the big IIF of capitalism though. Don't hold your breath. We've already been promised too cheap to meter. Once. Decades later prices are sky high from then, so I'm gonna doubt this. Ahahahaha. If savings are passed on to consumers. Ahahaha. Well, that was a good pick-me-up during lunch. Back to work. LOL at the thought that those saving aren't going to get pocketed by the execs. Trust me, any money made or saved isn't likely to get distributed amongst workers, let alone consumers. We live in a world where companies burn off natural gas because it's not valuable enough to capture and transport. Savings are never passed on to the consumer. A Tory MP bankrolled by energy companies jumps out of his chair and sprints to his car. He shudders at the thought of savings for consumers and not for business owners. He must stop this. This subreddit is terrible. The entire thread is just wanking each other off over how bad capitalism is. Nothing about renewable energy to discuss. Spoiler: savings will not be passed to consumers. Meaning household electricity bills could fall if savings are passed on to consumers. So they'll keep going up then. I remember when Nikola Tesla promised us free plentiful electricity. I'll believe it when I see it. But they won't. If it's so cheap, why don't they take FOD of actual offshore wind farms instead of CGI? If savings are passed on to consumers. Monthly bill, $49.99 renewable energy convenience fee. Nobody passes savings on to consumers. If savings are passed on to consumers. Like that's going to happen. Pretty big fucking if. Meanwhile in the US. Sometimes it doesn't blow. If savings are passed to the consumer. If passed on to consumers. That's never going to happen. If savings are passed on to the consumers. Ha 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 wheeze ha 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 ha. So, I understand that wind, solar and all these type of non-fossil energy can be relatively cheap. What I want to understand is the cost of deploying and managing the infrastructure. How does it work out? For example, driving a Tesla is cheap and nice, but buying one is expensive and maintaining is expensive too. This exact same thing was said about nuclear. It was thought that power would be so cheap, they wouldn't bother charging people for it. That never happened. Yeah, but then y'all will complain when sushi prices skyrocket. SMDH can't please ya, if only you weren't scared by nuclear power, sad. If savings are passed to consumers lol. Yeah. The power bill will get cheaper. Look, I'm all for renewables, right? But don't straight up lie to me, the power will never get cheaper. There's too many people needing yearly bonuses and shit. If savings are passed on to consumers. There's the hitch. Savings are never passed on to customers. Oh lordy. I remember when nuclear was going to be too cheap to meter. Good luck, kids. I live in Oklahoma. We have plenty of wind here. But if you happen to sign up for partial wind energy on your electric service, you get charged a renewable resource fee on top of your normal bill. The electric company here, OG, charges you more per month for renewable energy. Narrator, it didn't. It could return money to consumers, but it never will. Ever. Could, but these are profiteering shit stains. If savings are passed on to consumers. Like how automation was gonna pass the savings on to us. If you think average Joe is gonna see any of that saving, you're an optimistic idiot. Renewables gained a lot on popularity in UK in last 10 years, 40% and I think, but the average household bill went up by almost 60% in the same period of time. Renewables are not a magical source of energy. Narrator, they won't. Savings passed on to customers? No, no, no. Those profits are earmarked for executive bonuses. I can't wait to see how this is a /bad/ thing. I'm looking at you, GOP. American Republicans hate wind for this one simple reason. If savings are passed on to consumers, yes. They won't though. A good portion of the cost you are paying on your monthly electric bill is the infrastructure costs to deliver the electricity to your house. The fuel, no matter the source, simply isn't that major of a cost in the electricity delivery picture. But the stonks will go down. What about the poor old stonks? Offshore windmills require constant maintenance due to the salt water deteriorating the blades. Edit, for those wondering how I know this video, https://youtube b/og2h7xkma. Ha 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 ha, British energy firms passing on savings to customers, yeah that's a good one, tell me another one. Guys, we're under budget. We need to take this more expensive so we can get paid more. At this point, I'm so cynical about corporate behavior that I'm not even expecting any gains for the consumer, but I do hope that lower cost renewables can phase out additional usage of fossil fuels though. We needed to switch over decades ago. My supplier charges £8 more a month if I want 100% renewable energy, like they can flick a switch and choose which one you get. If savings are passed on to consumers. Ha 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 ha. Holy shit, that's the best joke I've heard all year.